Today we're going to do some more holiday decorating on my alt plot. I figure there's some more areas that we can talk about, some alternatives that I can show for different kinds of like the tree decorating and stuff. So we're going to cover that today, but first, before I forget, which I almost did yesterday, we're going to do the holiday advent house reveal for day 15. I honestly cannot remember the order of these things, so I'm not sure what's behind the next window, but anyway, let's see what we got here. Here's to be my winter snow globe. It's not exactly a snow globe that you can shake up because, you know, it's got the open end hole there, but let's see if I can get in close enough where you can see the details. It's really kind of hard. My screenshots were better because, like I said, when I took pictures of these, I had a staircase that I used to kind of creep up right close. But it is a little winter scene. It's just some snowy rocks. The plate is being used to represent the snow on the ground, and you got a little snow lop and a little tree. Pretty simple. In fact, it reminds me a lot of the giant kind of snow globe that Nelia and them put on their Christmas plot on Dominion side on Phenom. This is Phenom Flux's house that we visited last week. It just shows, you know, great minds think alike kind of thing. It's one of the first little creations I did here because now I had all of the windows open and I just dotted around as I decided to build things. I just said, well, I'm going to put this one here and put that one there. And eventually, you know, after, I don't know, I think I worked on it for a week or more, I filled up all the boxes and stuff. But yeah, so there you go. I will say that one of the houses I'd like to visit in the new year found a way of making like some actual effects for their little habitats or whatever you want to call them, like terrarium kind of things. And snow was one of them, and I really wished I could have added that not only to the snow globe, but I had attempted to use the same technique to make snow for the outside so that it only landed on the outside and didn't interfere with the interior as it would if I used the snow sky option. But the way they did it, it just didn't work out right. You'll see they already posted some images of their house. It's I think it's Silas Green Thumb, something like that. Can't remember the name offhand. It's actually a builder that has quite a few alts, and they are all the time coming up with these nifty new approaches to certain kinds of things. Looking it up here. Yeah, it's Ravens. He's the one that did, or they're the one that did the spa, mountain spa. But they did a greenhouse. They posted it a couple of days ago, I think. Yeah, Silas Green Thumb on Jabbit EU Exile side. We'll be touring it next month probably, unless I run out of winter plots for this month. But definitely go into the lab section inside the bunker house because the little habitats there are pretty awesome. And like I said, they found ways to use decor, animated decor to represent, I think it was rain and snow and fire and some other things. So it was really a clever way of working that in. I do want to do a few reminders. Number one, if all goes as planned, tomorrow is the first day of Winterfest. I assume it's going to kick in when the usual reset time happens, but I don't know for sure if that's going to be the case. So I'll be here early tomorrow morning. Well, I say early. It'll be in the morning sometime before our typical reset time. But I probably won't be showcasing any of the new stuff until the following day. Because as soon as I get my hands on some things, then we're going to start finishing off the decorations for the mall, um, the Sky Plaza here, and of course I need to finish up the skating rink for this Saturday, because that's going to be my guild's little event, and I want to have it all more or less done for them so that they don't walk into something that looks partial and incomplete and all that. But you know, like many builders, I've been waiting for the event to hit, so that's tomorrow. Also, just a reminder to builders that haven't heard or have forgotten, you know, let it slip their mind. We do have two housing competitions that are sort of in progress. I did look up on Black Dagger Societies. That's the one for Entity. They're holding it for Entity side only, and it's Dominion and Exiles. So it's open to both factions on Entity. Theirs is currently the submission form. You can submit that now. I think they've had theirs up for a week or more. But there is a deadline. I believe that is December 31st. It's the last day that you can submit your house. Trying to go through all of the info here. Yeah, December 31st. There's some other details about how they're not doing guided tour kind of things. You know, sometimes when people have their competitions, they'll say, hey, if you want to give me a guided tour, that way we don't miss anything, then, you know, meet us up at X hour on X day, and then we'll do that. Considering the amount of submissions that they're likely to have or possibly will have, that's just not logistically convenient, because you know, if you have like, even if it's, you know, 10 people, that, you know, it can be kind of tough to work in a schedule for everybody and all that kind of stuff. So I know for sure Black Dagger Society is not having that. The other housing competition is going to be hosted by Venus Rising. That is a Dominion guild on Javid EU. Theirs, however, is open to everybody, more or less. It's both regions. If you're on Entity, you're eligible. Or if you're on Javid, you're eligible. And it's both factions. So Dominion, Exile, you know, everybody's welcome. Currently, the prize pool, just the way that it's being broken down, there's only currently going to be one overall winner for each region, and then one runner-up for each region. But I have heard some chatter from fellow builders and fans of housing that they might be willing to look into donating some extra prize money and stuff to kind of broaden the winner pool. I've contacted Nelia about it, but I haven't heard back yet. I mean, I just sent the letter off, so you know, it might be interesting to see if we can kind of broaden that pool up a little bit. It's, you know, a lot of people feel disappointed, like, well, there's only one winner, and it's like, well, you know, it's that, or, you know, it's better than nothing. And of course, everybody's going to be showcased, so, you know, that'll be something at least. A little different than how Carbine ran theirs. But yeah, even if that doesn't come to fruition or whatever, it's still going to be something where, especially if you're on Entity side, you have the two contests that you can enter. And of course, if you're on Javid EU Exile side, definitely check out Venus, because as far as I've seen, I still have not heard word or heard any kind of rumor that Carbine is planning to host one of their own. Granted, when Shay's Eve rolled around, they waited until, I mean, it was like a week before the deadline. You know, that was when they announced that they gave us a week to kind of just spit it all out, and people were kind of caught off guard. And I know a lot of people were anticipating that they were going to be having a competition this time around, and so far there's not been any kind of hint or peek at such a thing. But you know, maybe they will announce one, I don't know. But for, like I said, for Black Dagger Society, the deadline is December 31st to get your entry in for that one. For Venus Rising's competition, it's slightly different. Submissions will begin, they will open up on the 19th of this month and will go until the 27th of December. So it's, the window to enter is a little bit shorter, but they wanted to set it up so that you had time to take advantage of some of the Winterfest decor. So they wanted time a little bit after the start of that event. And of course, you know, we don't want to drag it out forever, because then you'd be announcing winners in March or something, and it seemed a little weird. But so giving until, you have from the 19th to the 27th to submit your entry there. And then the winners will be announced on January 10th, I believe it is. So from the 27th till the 10th, that's the window for the judges to go in and take a look and score each house and everything. So there's that. So let's see if I can type right. My fingers are still trying to wake up. But I didn't get a good night's sleep last night. My husband was snoring again like a bear. So I was up half the night. Good morning, Soccer Top. Glad you could join us. And today's the last day for exams for my son, and I was like, you know, tell him he's gonna have to wake himself up, because I'm gonna be like out like a light. And I was. I think I woke up with him closing the gate outside. So hopefully he got to school on time and everything, because I was just so tired. Anyway, so we've taken care of the tree on the outside. Come up with a few examples of how you can use either existing decor as is, or you can fashion your own special kind of packages or whatever, as far as also with the decorations. Well, let's see what other kind of, I mean, typically a lot of people, when they decorate for the holidays, they don't just pick one little corner and that's it. You know, they scatter it a little. You know, if you're like my mother-in-law, she likes to decorate the bathroom and the kitchen and the living room and the front door and all this other stuff. So let's see what we can put together here. I keep like running around. It's like I don't know what I'm doing here. So first, probably good example would be a holiday wreath. We did have a fall version up with pumpkins and wheatgrass and that kind of stuff. So let's see, where should we put that? Maybe right here, directly on the door. The only thing is, if you put it on something like this on glass, you're going to have to be careful about what's showing in the back. So you can't get too, you know, broad as far as the items that you're using to decorate it, because you're going to have a lot of stuff sticking out the back. So let's see if we can get away with it. If not, then we'll move it to the wall, so we got some little bit of solid stuff to kind of play with and hide things. So wreath. With the fall wreath, we went with golden colors, gold, brown, maybe some dark reds, that kind of thing. Those are the colors you want to look for. For the winter holiday, Winterfest or whatever, again, it's kind of like with the tree. Anything can go. If you want to go traditional, obviously you're going to go with some shade of green or shades of green. But there's also golden type of wreaths that you can make. Gold is often a Christmas cut or Winterfest color, holiday color. You can make one that's primarily red. You can even go with blue or purple or just any color. Really just depends on the scheme that you're going for as far as the theme. If you want a particular, like say you're decorating for a medic and you've got a lot of white kind of things, then maybe you'll look for something that's a little more white. Use a plate and then just follow that outer ring of the plate and leave the center as a empty kind of thing. That sort of thing. Or sink it in so you don't see the center, you just see the rim, and then decorate that way. That's one option. For me, I think we're going to stick with traditional. So I'm going to look at plants and shrubbery. Plants, usually they come with flowers and other kinds of things like the spiral leaf teal. Those would be excellent for a wreath. It's got flowers and it's got some little coloring in it. The only reason I'm not going to be using that here is two reasons. One, I don't have enough, and two, I'm already using it as a primary kind of plant here, so don't want to repeat it too much. Probably the easiest to use would be one of probably like this one, the leafy bramble. Now, I think there's actually two versions of that, and one you craft and one you build. I mean, you buy straight off of the housing vineyard, but I'm not for positive on that. I'm an architect by trade, but I hardly ever build stuff, and if I do, it's like I build like, if I need like 5 of something, then I build like 15 of them so I have spares, and so I don't do the crafting quite a bit, or very often. I do it like in big chunks. So let's guess that was in the bushes section. Let me see. Leafy overgrowth, that's a really good one. The only reason I'm not using that for the glass door area is because I only want the top part showing. I don't want this big long trail showing. You could maybe lay it down sideways and stack it up that way, but you'd have to use a lot more. This is the one that I used for the holiday wreath for the Advent house. I just sunk it in and just showed the top of it, and just used like 5 or 6 to make the wreath shape, and it worked out really nice. And it's a nice bright green. Be great for I've used it also in one of the shops, the seasonal shop, showing how you could use that for like a centerpiece kind of thing. I just got a really long one. It's got little depths. I'll show that later maybe. I'm not sure if I showed it already or not. But so we can't use that here. So we need something that's, a little bit more compact, not got all these little tendrils everywhere and stuff like that. So probably going to go with the leafy bramble. And since it's visible from the front and the back, we'll probably have to actually make a duplicate so that, or well, maybe we won't have to. Maybe we just, again, you just have to make sure you're not poking anything through the glass. So I'm just going to plop one of these down here. I'm going to stick it over there because I know it comes in really big. Then usually when I'm trying to make circle shapes or any kind of specific shape, and I'm unsure if maybe my lines will be close, I always put down a guide. So you can use a plate, a bowl, a dome, whatever you have on hand. So I'm going to check what we got here. Looks like I've got a dome. I'm going to excuse me. I'm going to go on the other side, put this down, and then I'm going to just resize it to about the size of the wreath that I think I want to make. Now keep in mind, whatever size this outer ring is, you're actually going to make the wreath a little bigger because you're going to follow that line, sort of. You could just kind of tuck it in and make it smaller if you want, but usually I follow the actual line of it, just out of my own reasoning, but you can do whatever's comfortable. And then I'm just going to, well, let's turn this off. Now, I will say that I had a viewer mention that you can actually turn off this little button, but if you turn off the button, you turn off the name too. And I always like seeing what I'm manipulating, because not every item, you see how brightly this one is flashing to kind of indicate this is the one I'm sometimes that's not very easy to see, especially if you're working with something really small, which is usually when this becomes an issue, is because I'm working with something small. I accidentally might click the wrong thing and think I'm manipulating the right item, and then later find out, oopsie, that's not the right one. So while there is an option to hide this button so that you can more easily see what's going on, for me, that's not really an option, because I prefer being able to see the actual name of the item that I'm tweaking, just because I have a bad habit of randomly clicking stuff as I'm manipulating, and I'll click off and think, uh-oh, you know, it's find out I've like made a really bad mistake. While I'm talking, I'm trying to tweet too, and I'm like kind of half of my attention elsewhere. Just wanted to tweet out before I forget again. Anyway, okay, so I picked a size that I figure will be a decent size for the wreath, the thickness of it. Now, remember too, you're going to see the back side, and it's okay. This actually, the brambles work really nicely because they're flat on the bottom. They don't have anything going like into the ground. You know, like a tree, if you use some of like the tree bits, you're going to have to worry about the roots showing. And there's no like vase or bowl or anything that you also have to hide. You know, if you're trying to like use these green plants with the pink flowers, you have to worry about the bowl. That's one of the joys of using the bushes and the plants that come standalone. You don't have to worry about that. So I'm just going to duplicate this up. Now I'm going to do this quickly, so I'm not going to be rotating stuff, but later I'll go and rotate, because I always like to, I don't like my flowers looking like it's like cookie cutter looking. Excuse me. Better take a swig of water. But just to kind of quickly lay out the bits and kind of like get the position right. And you can adjust as you go. You know, if you see that this is a little gappy over here and you got it nice and fluffy in another area. If you want to be exact, you could like start with the top and bottom, left and right, and then kind of, you know, go in and like say you could like copy this one and then slide it over so that these are all exactly on the same, you know, spacing or whatever. Usually though, I like to freehand it because like I said, if you kind of make it too stringent like that, it looks a little fakey. I want mine to look a little bit more natural, so I'm just kind of putting it in line with the shape. I'm not doing any kind of exact spacing there or that kind of stuff. If that's what you prefer, then, you know, go with that. Again, my building, the way I do things is just what's comfortable for me. You might say, well, I think it would be easier if I do it this way. Go for it. You know, my way is not the only way. There's tons of ways you can do, you know, you can approach these things. So this is, you know, I'm just out here to kind of help inspire, maybe, you know, teach a little bit I hate to say it that way because it's not like I'm really giving tutorials or anything. I'm just kind of showing how I do it, and that may or may not work for you. It may or may not work for your situation. Like a lot of issues that people that building space stations and stuff, I might never encounter any of the issues that they have because I simply I don't do those kinds of builds. But okay, so I kind of like the shape, just tucking a little bits here and there, and that look a little off to me. That's a pretty good shape. The only thing that I see that I might be bothered by is the dividing line for the door itself. I don't know if maybe I want to raise the entire wreath up a bit so it's up at the top, or just kind of lower it a bit so it's centered on that. I think I'll go with centered. So first I'm going to twist some of these around a bit just to kind of mix it up a little. Doesn't have to be every other one. It could be every other 2 or 3. Just, pick around until you feel like you've mixed it up enough so that the edges don't look repetitive too much. Okay, that looks okay to me. So I'm going to use the top piece as my parent, which is unfortunate apparently because that thingy pops up right on top of it. Now I'm bound to miss some of these, but we'll figure out which ones I'm missing as we go. I don't even know how many pieces I actually used to set this up. I think getting close. I'm missing one here. Okay, so that's the wreath all selected. And we're just going to center it right on the bar, the window bit. And also I'm going to move it a little to the right. You don't have to be as picky about that as I am. That's just me. So now that we have our shape already done, we don't need this anymore. So we're gonna get rid of that. But see how nicely that you see it, but it doesn't look that bad. Now comes the tricky part of decorating it so that it still looks nice, but doesn't look all pokey outy in the back. That's the main thing. Now I moved that a little bit just because I could see it was I'm going by the little center bits on the bottom, kind of see if it's kind of spaced good. Okay, so there's our wreath. Nice green wreath. So what to put on it? Again, if we're going with the au naturel, obviously I will opt for plants. I think I will stick with that theme just because that's what I started with and I want to continue on with that. But you can use anything as long as, like I said, especially if it's something like this, like on something that either you can't sink the stuff through or you're going to see it on the back side. You don't want it poking through. So pick things that are small, compact, that you can use the entirety of. So shrunken down, I mean, you could do just like you do with the ornaments. Use shrunken down little spaceships or plushies or little baubles that you can, just put them in their entirety on there. For me, I'm going to go with plants. So yeah, the big thing is what plants. I could go with the white ones again since that is what I have on the tree. Yeah, I can't use these because then that base will be showing through, so it has to be something standalone. won't be able to use any of this lovely red because of the base as well. Use mushrooms, those will be good. And tuck them in. I don't think the bottoms of them will show through too much, depending on how you put. In fact, we might use that mushrooms, because for me a wreath usually has like an overall kind of decoration, and then at the bottom or the top or somewhere, you have kind of like an extra special little bauble or something, whether it be a bow or some other kind of big item there, just a kind of an extra thing, and the mushrooms might work good. Hey, Patience, good morning. So maybe we'll go with the white flowers and maybe some yellow ones and the mushrooms. We go with the purple stuff, that's kind of standalone. Excuse me. I might could get away with using the red ones if I can really kind of tuck in that lantern. I'm afraid it's gonna show though, just because of the way I've set it up. I'm gonna put one out and we'll try it and see how that looks. I know I'm gonna want some of the weeping flowers, and I'll probably go ahead and go with the dream caps. Now there actually is a couple of other mushrooms you could use, but look at the size of that thing, it's gigantic. It's gonna be, I don't know, it may not shrink down enough. Yeah, that should work. Okay, so first things first, I know for sure the white flowers are gonna work. I say that and then I'm gonna find out that maybe the stems are too long and they're gonna show anyway. We're gonna try it out here. I want some coloring of some kind on here. So I'm gonna watch the back and I'm just gonna push it in and see how that's gonna have to cheat a little bit by laying it on its side, I think, so that some of the green's going into the wreath itself and then the rest of it is peeking through the other side. There we go, that's a little bit of coloring now. So I'm just gonna do this, I'm gonna spot it around. Doesn't have to be, if you want to make it nice and full with the flowers, that's fine. I'm gonna kind of space it out for mine a little bit though. I think that will work better. And as a reminder, because tomorrow is the Winterfest event, that does mean that tomorrow I will be drawing a name from my regular viewers that have been popping in and chatting with me on the stream here, and one of them will win a special gift, basically just a custom built item from me. If you happen to be on entity side where I do not have a character set up, then I will just build it or grab whatever, if you say you like one of the paintings I have in the shop, then I'll say, okay, I'll just grab the code for you and I'll send you the code so that you can, well, assuming you have Katya's add-on, you'll be able to, plop it onto your plot and put it wherever you want to. If you happen to be on Jabbit EU Exile side, then I'll be happy to build it straight for you there. If you want something a little more custom, you like the paintings but you want a special version of it, that's all yours, then I will build it on your plot for you. I can't promise the amount of time it might take, but I will attempt it. That's about the only way I can think of giving something special to one of my viewers, flat is fine, but it's not terribly difficult to raise up your own money. Just patience and persistence in doing some of the content will get it eventually. Okay, so there's some white flowers. It looks pretty good. Just gonna double check and make sure nothing weird is going on in the back here. Looks like we're okay. So now we're gonna check out and see if we can get away with doing that same kind of setup with the red ones. Gotta find a good size there first. And then I'm going to lay it on its side. And then we're gonna see if that will work. I have a feeling that base is just gonna be kind of out there a little too much. Trying to put the red kind of in the gaps between the white. Guess some of the kitties are out of school now. I can hear a lot of hooping and hollering. Okay, how does that look? Does that look... I think that's not gonna work. Yeah, the base is just really out there. It's too clunky. We'll have to think of something else. I could put in maybe some, I wonder if a pillow would work. Out of the plants. I don't know. I think it'd be too shapy for it, but I'm gonna see if I can bake it in. You'll see what I'm talking about here. If you're wondering why I backed up, wouldn't let me place it because I was too close to it. Now this may require a lot of extra decor just to get all the pieces in here that I'm hoping for, but I really want something reddish in here. Now I'm purposely tucking this in so that only pieces of it show. The problem is I'm worried that it's going to, one, still look too shapy, and two, I might tuck it in too far and it actually kind of starts showing in the back, and I don't want that. And I don't want to make it too small because you're definitely going to see the shape there. So now the trouble is being able to select that goofy thing. I think it's in the C's for couch. Just want some extra little coloring to kind of show through. I think that looks all right. Let's see, I guess I'm just gonna probably 1, 2, 3 more couch pillows. Well, not the couch pillow. I do that a lot. I've like accidentally bought things thinking, oh, I've got the right thing selected, and nope, end up buying the wrong thing. Let's see, I don't know what size that was. I think it was 15. Let's look it up again. Ouch, ouch. 10. Size 10. Okay. That way I don't have to keep trying to copy that silly thing. Okay. 2 more to go. Now I will probably take a quick peek at the pirate shack that I showed yesterday. I did a little bit more work on it. I've actually been kind of finding it hard to step away from it. So it's one of those things, you get into a project and you kind of just keep going with it, and it's like the next thing you know, 3 hours have passed. But I did want to mention that I found it kind of strange working on a plot where other people have access to be able to build. Maybe it's just me and me not handling it right, but I will say it's kind of awkward to build when someone else is also building at the same time on the plot, because it seems like the items it forgets who's in control of the item. It's like the plot itself thinks that only one person should be messing with the stuff. So like I'd be like adjusting something like this, and suddenly the numbers would change and it wouldn't be anything like where the positioning was, or I had items suddenly disappear. When I was trying to like copy them, they would suddenly go poof. And it's like, where did it go? And it's like, I think it was because of being, working on something at the same time as somebody else. So yeah, I don't know if that's going to be. I've found that I prefer working in the mornings because I'm usually the only one in the guild that's online in the mornings for any length of time. We do have a few that come in and check their mail or things like that, but as far as housing goes, I think I'm the only one that comes in and like sits for a little bit. And I've discovered that I prefer working where there's nobody else working on their stuff. So if you ever embark on like a co-op kind of build, you might find that it's a little weird to be manipulating stuff and then have someone else doing it at the same time, in a different part. It's not like they're trying to manipulate the same item, but it's like either your work or their work kind of overrides together. Now, I picked out this mushroom thinking I might use it as like the main thing, but I don't know, the way this is looking, I don't know if that's going to look right or not. We're going to try it because, we're going orange with our theme here. Color might be the thing that bugs me the most, but I'm going to stick with it. I already bought it and it's going to work. Excuse me. Okay, so there's one shroom, and again, for anyone that has watched me in the past, they know I like odd numbers. So while there are some instances where like if you're having like on either side of a door, you're going to have a pair of something. When it comes to something like this, I prefer at least 3. Because I don't know, I like odd numbers. I think it works better for whatever reason. change the size on that one just a little bit. Well, watching that doesn't bother me as much because, well, the only time it becomes an issue is if they're like one of those that likes to bounce around in front of you or be standing like in close proximity. If they're watching from a bit of a distance, then you don't have to worry about, because you know when you're placing items, if somebody is standing there, it won't let you place it. So usually if I'm watching, you know, if I happen upon somebody working on their build, I usually try to kind of stay at a distance, or I'm constantly moving out of the area that I think they might be trying to work on, because I don't want them having that problem, because I've experienced it myself, so I know that can be an issue. Um, but definitely, it's not that, you know, I don't like them working on the plot at the same time as me. It's just I find it very challenging because, like I said, the numbers and stuff like this would suddenly change to 100 and something, and that would, you know, the size would be different. And it's not that it affects the item that I'm working on, that remains the same. But usually I have to cancel whatever it is I've done because maybe it doesn't register that I've actually done anything to it. And I don't know, it's just a weird little thing. Because like I said, I think the system can't compute fast enough to know that, okay, these numbers and positionings is for this item, this one. It wants to just do it for one. And if you've got several people working on the same plot in different areas, it's got to decide, okay, which one overrides the other. And I want to say it probably gives priority to the actual plot owner, which is the one that happened to be on the plot at the same time I was there. So the numbers kept changing for me, and I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. It's just that it makes it take a little longer, and there is some of that little lag delay when you're placing something, especially if it's a set or something, like a linked set. I was doing some doors and stuff, and when I placed it, there was visible lag because there was someone else on there also building, and it was like chugging it or something. I don't know. Okay, so there's a little bit of a holiday wreath. The colors might not exactly be what you want. You could add some other things. There are the little acorn fence posts that I use in the fall wreath. You have something that maybe kind of resembles a pine cone, you could probably get away with that. I won't have to really worry about using any kind of snow bits because the white of the flowers kind of makes that a little snowy, in fact. But if you're looking for snow bits, some of the new items like the icicles would work well. The little snow pile would be good if you want to have like little dots of snow on something. Since this isn't really actually in a snowy area, I probably won't do that, but it's an idea. For bows, you know, like if you want something hanging down, you could probably go with like the red drapes, the open ones, and just kind of tuck in. Let's see if I can show you what I'm talking about. This thing is always so huge, and it's always turned funny. I never can figure out why it's turned weird. Let's shrink that down a bit first. So like, you'd shrink that down, and then you'd want it kind of tucked in so that some of that wooden the holder is hidden. In fact, we'll just see. There it went bye-bye. Let me try that again. I think it's because I hit some. I have a tendency, my fingers are like heavy or something because I like clicking things I don't mean to. So I think I might have put it in the crate. Maybe not. Let's try it again. It's only 2 gold. Let me just place it first so it's out there and it's permanent. And then we'll try it again. So let's see, what do we have? That 10, was it? I think that's what it was. Sounds like my son is home from school. Just heard the gate again. So I'm gonna tilt it just a little bit so that I can tuck in the brown part a little better. But I want the ribbon showing pretty good. So there you go. You've got a little bit of ribbon and some shrooms to add in a little extra color, and then you've got the actual wreath. You could leave it just the wreath by itself. You don't have to have these extra little bits, but I like adding that in, kind of like a centerpiece on the centerpiece kind of thing. But you don't have to. That's just my preference. Okay, so I'm gonna check the back side, see how it looks. Doesn't look too bad. So there you go. There's a little holiday wreath for you. Simple, but you know, and like I said, I love building straight off of the housing vendor because, you know, that means anybody can do it. You know, it didn't cost too much. You know, the drape was like a couple of gold, and I really didn't pay attention to what the other stuff cost, but it's all relatively inexpensive, and that's the way I prefer to build, because I know a lot of builders out there that don't have the money pool that some of us do. But mostly that's just because I've had more time to be able to kind of save up that stuff. So now you'll notice that because of the placement of the bow and everything, it may cover up some of the, like the tuo pillow. I think there's one under here. That's okay, you know, if it works out that way. In fact, I could probably move that up to the front and maybe hide that brown bit a little better. So let's see. Probably gonna mess this up goofing with it, but we're gonna try it anyway. First we gotta find the tuo pillow, the one that we want to tweak. There it is. Just gonna move it a little bit. There. So it's not completely covered, but it's a little less obvious now. So that's good. I hear my boy coming up, so he's probably not aware that I'm streaming, but he will soon figure that out. Okay, so now we're going to go on the interior. We've got a couple of things on the exterior. You could add more if you want. You could add some, well, let's just, for example, I guess we're just going to be decorating the porch here. You could add some garland along the railing here. That would be one option. You could use the same exact greenery and just build you a little poopy thing there. The way I would probably do that, let's see, how would I do that? I would probably use the dome again as a guide for that little garlandy hoop. So, you know, if you wanted it to make sure that it goes from post to post, you'd want your dome to be as wide as that. However, it needs to be a little bit smaller, maybe 0.9 would work better. This is the joy of working at an odd angle. My house isn't like 90 degrees, 0 degrees or anything. It's kind of a little crooked. So when you go in to add something, you know, you can't put it at exactly the right. A little annoying. That's one thing I've done with the Pirate Shack. I've kept it all at 90 so that it's a little easier to kind of put things in. And then later I'm just going to link up the whole thing and turn it. Hopefully, you know, that works all right. Okay, so I've got the width that I probably want. Now we need to, oh, actually I may have to make it bigger. Let's try that again. I forgot I need to make this so that this is, that's really huge. Now the only trouble with using this as my guide is I'm going to have to work from the, you know, from the side here and just use my camera angles to my advantage. Because I won't be able to get up close to it. But this, again, is mostly just to lay down the green. Once you get the green in, you can remove the guide and call it good. So I'm going to use probably the base of it. Just follow the outer line, like so. Let's just grab one of those brambles. Excuse me. Rinky dinky it down. You can go bigger since it's an outdoor kind of garland. It's not the little wreath, and that will save you a little bit of decor count as well. You're not having to shrink it down too much. And we're just going to start stringing them along, following that line. Looks like little cabbages or something on there. And my tail is going straight through the wall there. Wrong. Again, these little panels are super thin just because of the size that they are. So it'd be almost like the glass door. You don't want anything that's going to stick through it. And thankfully these brambles are really nice for this kind of thing. Keep on going, adding them in until you get to the end of the line. Again, a lot of this custom stuff, you don't have to do all of these pieces. I mean, if you want to just use something simpler so that you're not, like when they get the wreaths from the event tomorrow when it starts, there are actually two wreaths. I think it's a red one and a golden one. Red and green and then the golden one. If you just want to use that, then you don't have to custom that, and that'll save you on decor. This is for someone that's looking for a special little extra thing that they can, excuse me, get the hiccups, that they can make themselves just to give a little bit of specialness, I guess, rather than always, because you know, while the pre-built stuff is nice, you start to see it in every home and it just looks really repetitive. So I love the custom stuff when someone can figure out a different way to make a toilet or a sink or even a chair. That's the fun stuff for me because that looks super unique and, you know, one of a kind, obviously. Okay, so I've got the general outline here, so I'm going to send this to Create now. This one's actually a little bit higher than I need it. I'm going to move these down a little bit. There we go. That looks a little better, I think. Might be a little bit more tight, and this is a little spacier, but you get the idea. And I say that, and then I go around tweaking it, just little minuscule bits. Okay, so you have this nice, lovely green garland. Again, I'm going to twist a few here and there because I don't want that sameness feeling going on. For this one, I think I'm going every other one. I'm twisting it a little bit. Not a whole lot, just enough to kind of make it a little different. Okay, so now we have the main garland. So now what do we add to it? We can do the white flowers again, the red chua things. You could just leave the garland by itself, just have some pretty garland that way. Whatever you're going to do, if you have sections like this, I have these 3 sections here. Finish the one and then just copy the set and duplicate it. Now the only problem probably will be is I'm confident that this one and this one are the same length, but this one's a little shorter. So you may end up having to tweak it, your set a little bit different just to kind of accommodate the size of this one. But so what I would probably do is I would finish this one, copy it over, move it to this one, resize it however I need, store the pieces I don't use, and then make a new set for this one off of this. That way I don't end up with some extra bits that I end up not using. So probably for me, the way I would do it is I would want it to be kind of matchy with whatever I already got here. So we're going to go with the white, the weeping flowers. Excuse me. So I'm just going to plop one down there. Now, hopefully, we won't have to size it down as much as we did with the wreath, similar to the greenery. You can leave it a little bigger and get away with not using as many, hopefully. And you'll notice there's nothing sticking out the back, which is perfect. We don't want any of that extra mess. Okay, so there's one white flower. And we're just gonna do that along here. Again, I'm gonna leave a little bit of a space. I don't want it completely filled with white flowers. You can if that's your preference. For me, that's not my preference. I prefer it to be a little spacey. Speaking of spacey, the Space Chase event to get some of that spaceship decor is still ongoing. The last day, I believe, is the 18th. So you've got a few more days to kind of work on that if that's your cup of tea. For me, I've just been grabbing a few pieces off of the auction house. I really haven't been farming the expeditions for, I think it's, what do they call them, eco particles or something. I've just been kind of concentrating on other things and select the flower. 'There we go. probably four flowers altogether. I know that's an even number, and I keep saying I like odd, but sometimes it just works out that way. Because of the spacing I've chosen, that's probably I'm gonna go ahead and put the end one over here first. Maybe I will force an odd number, because that's just how I am. Just a little bit. I'm gonna move this one more into the center. Maybe. There we go. There we go. So now if I want, I could add 2 in there, which I think I will do. So then it's an odd number again. It's 5. Awesome. I'm odd, so I like odd numbers, I guess. Rotate again. There we go. One more. Okay, and then I'm gonna double check, make sure nothing weird's looking out. Looks good. Nothing's really poking. Well, say that, and there's a little bit of greenery here on one of the flowers. So I'm just gonna pull that out. It's always good to check. You never know what's gonna be going there. It looks like one's over here. Actually, it looks like several of them are sticking in, so just gonna make some slight adjustments to hide that. Not so obvious. There we go. So now we got the white flower. So now we need to do the tulip pillow stuff. So we need 1, 2, 3. We need 4 of those. We'll go ahead and go with an even number with those. I'm gonna just pop these right here. Make those down. We're gonna see about how big we can make those and have them still visible, but not, again, I don't want them to readily be recognized as a rectangle squarey thing. We just want that hint of red showing through. That was at 31. No, it seems like a lot of work for just a simple little thing. I mean, we are getting some more garland string light thingies that you can use instead of doing all of this custom stuff. But for those that want to do it, this is my example of how you would approach that. I'm going to move over to the side here so my tail's not in the way. there we go. So we got some white, some red, and the green, and it matches nicely with the wreath. But the only thing probably is, you know, it's matchy with the tree too, because it's white, red, and green. That's kind of what we went with. The only extra color would be the lights. Now you could possibly add another set of drapes. This time maybe on the post itself. Kind of represent like it's tied there, you know, each little bit. It's a little pricey, but hey, it's just a one-time thing, so it's not that big a deal. And then like do the same over here. Again, you can tell my house is kind of crooked because it doesn't translate straight across. Now, if you want to get really fancy, you could do the side too, but I think I'm just going to do the front here. Just leave it like that. So there you go, a little holiday garland kind of thing. So now the fun part of trying to get that all over here. Now, if it was just the two ends that I wanted to do, then I would probably copy the whole thing, including the drapes. But since I don't want to repeat this drape itself, I'm going to just copy the garland part, not the drapes. So I'm going to pick one of these, I guess the end one here, probably the easiest. And hopefully it's not picking the floor behind there, because sometimes when you're working with items that are kind of airy, like gappy, you can accidentally click the wrong thing. I had that experience with the decking pieces yesterday when I was working on the pirate shack. I was actually clicking through them into something else, and I was like, no. Now I could try Lament's add-on and do like everything within a radius of something, but I'm pretty sure I would pick up a lot of the walls and parts of the seat here and the flooring, and I prefer just being able to pick and choose the bits that I want linked up into a set. It takes a little longer, but I feel like I have more control over what's being manipulated and selected than otherwise. You know, if it happens to be the only thing on the plot or only thing in that little particular area, then that's different. But when it comes to this, where there's a lot of other things that I don't want linked accidentally, I for sure want to select it myself. Okay, so I think that's all the greenery now. I'm going to go for the flowers maybe. Pillows are going to be a little bit more tricky. I'll have to search them up in the search box. Simply because of how the brambles work. Can't like click through them. Okay, so chew a pillow. Find the right one first. I hate that it resets that, because then I have to set it all up again. That's one of them. Probably an easier way of doing this. I think Katya's add-on has like a search tool thing that you can use. So I really haven't delved into some of the more recent editions of her add-ons, so I'm probably going about it the hard way, but still getting the job done. I think that's everything now. Let me just check here. Looks like everything is kind of bluish purple. So now I have a linked set. Now, unlike the wreath, we were just repositioning it. This one, I actually want a copy of it. So I have to open up Katya's add-on. I'm going to go to the Tools, Set Manager, and then go to an empty somewhere. There we go. Just put it here. So I'm going to select the set again. So everything's linked. I'm going to say Add Linked Set. And so there it is, all the stuffs. And I'm going to deselect it just for safety's sake so that I don't accidentally move the original. And then I'm going to say Place All Link. So it's basically laying in a copy of what I already have. A little bit of a lag today. Then, in my experience, and it may just be me, but whenever the actual link set has been first placed, it doesn't have the usual, like the name or that little button or the advanced control bar showing. And if I start to move this, sometimes not all the pieces move with it. So I always click off of it just to be confident that the full set is in place. And then I just select one of the parents. You're going to grab one of them. It doesn't matter which one because they're both in the exact same position. Katya said that the way she does it is she like links up a set, then she moves the original and then just places the second set in the original's place. You can do it that way if you want. I've done it both ways. I prefer this way, that I just place it on top of the thing. The problem is if you accidentally unlink the set while it's still on top of the original set, then you have the issue of trying to find the stuff that's, you know, extras there. Then we're going to move it to the world so that it stays kind of straight, hopefully. And then we're just going to move it over. Now again, this is a little smaller, so I'm not going to need all of these pieces. But I'm going to put it in where I think it should go. And then I'm just going to say place. How simply dimply is that? And I might actually just leave it, even the extra pieces, just for the heck of it. So that I don't have to worry about picking out what I do or don't want. I think that would work best. The only thing I might move is this here, the white flowers. I'm gonna have to do a reload. I think the lag is kind of borking it a little bit. Trying to get rid of the flower here. Make sure I'm moving the right one. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this bramble here. The reason I'm moving it before I get rid of it is because I don't want to get rid of something that really actually should stay. See, like that one you really want to keep. Okay, so there's that. So now we want the next little garland thing. So again, we just open up the toolkit, Set Manager. Of course, we have to go all the way to the end of my list. Actually hit the mid-30s now, I think. Yeah. Don't know why there's a feeding trough on that. I don't think it saved the set. That's what it is. Oh, that's okay. Because this one is still linked. we go. Add link set. One way to make sure that it does save the set is, at least for me, I think it seems to work, is once you got the set saved, I just do another reload UI, and then it should be there. I think when I reloaded before and it didn't quite take it, that was probably because I didn't save it. Again, gotta go to the end, so it should be there. Fingers crossed it's there. And there we go. So now I'm going to say place all link. It'll take a little bit. It's going a little faster now. I don't know. It's kind of weird. Bramble. There we go. So now close this one up so we can see what we're doing here. And now we have the final garland. Ta-da! And you can make adjustments to it if you want, you know. You see that something doesn't quite look right to you. Easy peasy to sort it out. Gonna add in the rest of our ribbon stuffs. And voila, there's a little extra holiday decoration for the exterior of the house. If you want to get fancy, you could line the railings. You could put some little bits on top of the little light post here. You could add some colored string lights as little garland along the rooftop if you want. There's lots of options for things that you can make. If you want to be kind of like do the gaudy, like Santa, I mean, not Santa, but the snowman. Now that we have the little snow piles, you could like actually put like a little snowman scene on top of your house. You know, you've seen those houses where they like have these little animatron kind of things, you know, and we have that decor piece coming with Winterfest with the Papa Phineas thing that moves and stuff. You could put one of those, you know, have this really gaudy display, but I'm going to keep it kind of more traditional and a little toned down. I mean, I want some decoration, but I don't want to overdo it. So we got 3 nice pieces now. That's a pretty good amount, I think. But I think we're going to call it good on that for today. We will probably work a little bit more on some interior decoration. Not tomorrow, because tomorrow is going to be the housing tours program, but probably Thursday. In addition to working on the main plot with some of the new Winterfest decor, of course. As far as, you know, ideas for what you might do for an interior, not only can you add like little mini trees, you could do some candle type of things. Ali gave some nice examples of different kind of candle arrangements you can make for like candelabras, or like maybe, I don't know what you call them, where it's got like 5 or 6 candle holder thingies all together. You can put a nice little centerpiece for the table. You could add some little garland treatments to the windows. That would be nice. I don't know. We'll think of some other things, but that's a pretty good setup so far. I'm really happy with how these turned out. So before we go, I did say that we would make another visit to Naomi's plot to check out the progress of the pirate shack, pirate house, something or other. Once everyone's kind of done and she's, you know, feeling like there's no more people can add in stuff, you know, basically when she runs out of the core limit. We'll do a full tour of the place because there's really a lot of nice little in here, but right now we're just going to show the bit that I've been working on. So this is what I've got so far. You can see I still got some scraps out here that I've been playing around with. It's just something I laid out there, but pretty much the exterior is set up as I want. There's some faux parts, like there's a faux door here leading out onto this little deck balcony area. I ended up adding some extra stairs to get to this part of it. The lower level leads to a, whoops, that's the fun part of chains. They don't have any collision, so you'll run right through them. It has a faux door here, but the upper part actually is the only way you can technically reach the little crow's nest, I guess is what that's called. So you come in through the room here. This will be someone's little personal area, and then that's how you get out to the little crow's nest here. Now there's no actual access to the crow's nest up here, and I don't even have any railing on it yet, but just kind of keeping it in tune with the images that I've been using as reference. It's not an exact copy, but it's a pretty good pretty close. I mean, it's as close as I could figure out how to get to it. So anyway, the interior, I've been doing a little bit of decorating. You can see I've got a little pirate Captain Carrot here or something. I was having, that was like the last thing I added yesterday. I was trying to think of how to make a little hat. I really wanted something black, but we don't have very many things that are like stark black, so this was the closest I could do. But I like how the leaf of the carrot kind of looks like a feather in his hat, so that kind of went out nice. And of course, the faux doors that I used on the sides, I went ahead and used the same setup for the main doors, but since they're not actually functioning doors, I have to leave them all open. Same way with upstairs. Now, weirdly, I don't know what's causing this to look like it's lit from below. I don't know if she's got some kind of weird lighting somewhere down but not beneath, or if it's just the way that the sky option works with this particular decor, but it's like lit up weirdly. You can see I've been adding in some little nautical type stuff. Not everything's geared that way. I wanted this particular room to be kind of reminiscent, keeping to the theme. I do have some modern parts. My kitchen area is a little modern looking. I've got some nice metal shelves and drawers and cabinet. I guess that's supposed to be my the refrigerator here. And you got some drawers for some materials there, and then this I'm going to end up putting in some kind of a window, or not window, but another kind of square panel of a different color to kind of represent either an oven or a microwave or something. Still need to add some things up here. I need some kind of counter space somewhere. I'm not sure where I'm going to put that. It might be add a little bit here, small counter space. Because I don't want to block this up too much, because then you won't be able to actually get into the room. And then got a little pantry thing going on here. This was actually because of some things that I put in on the other side, and they were sticking out here. So I said, well, I'm just going to go with it and set up a little shelf area. So it's got some books and little collectibles and a little green. As you can see, I'm still trying to figure out how to divvy up the interior. The main problem being because of my choice of roofing, you've got all these brackets and stuff to kind of contend with. Like here, you actually can't go to this very end. So I may end up making one end some storage space that you can see from the door, and then maybe this one will be a bathroom area. So it'll be there, but you just won't have actual access to it. And like make this like a bedroom or something. This here actually leads to one of the faux doors here. And then I don't know if I'm going to add a little bit of steps there or what, but I'm going to box this area off, I think, so that you can't see it. And then this is the other faux door leading in. I may end up boxing this off completely too. I don't know. I wanted to give some semblance of like this is how you would get to the deck if I actually install a door here. The problem is the way I set up the walls. It's not like I can just cut out a hole. So it's just kind of the idea that that's how you would go. But this is the shelves I added in, and they started poking in on the other side. And I was like, well, I'll just have to figure out something. So it's coming along. It's slow for me anyway, because I'm still kind of not sure what all I'm going to put in. But you can see I've added a few details, some crates, some barrels. The barrels themselves are just feeding troughs sandwiched together. They kind of look like a barrel because we don't actually have a full wooden barrel. We've got the metal and wood one, but it's like half and half, and that don't quite work for me. So I've also added a few bits here, same way, barrel, chest. And of course, like I said, the choice of roofing that I picked, it has its issues. I mean, there's all these little metal parts sticking out, but I figure it plays well into making it kind of look like a shanty house that, you know, someone put together with parts from a ship or something. And of course, I made it, I picked a reference that had, you know, ship parts like the front and the crow's nest and thing, because I wanted to kind of follow along with the theme that Naomi has already set up on the plot. So hopefully they will be happy with the end result. So far they seem pretty satisfied with what's been built so far, but still a lot of stuff to do. I'm trying to keep the interior stuff kind of simplified because I've spent so much decor making the house itself. I don't want to overbuild my welcome, so to speak. But that's the pirate town, the pirate ship, pirate house, pirate shack. I don't know what you want to call it. But this will be my home away from home. As I said, Naomi's invited guild members to come and stake their little claim on a piece of her property and say, you know, you're welcome to build whatever you want. They've been very helpful and supportive and going with whatever we put together, so it's been fun. So I think that's it for today. Again, another reminder, we do have the housing competitions ongoing. If you have a house that plays towards Winterfest or Winter-esque, I think, for Black Dagger Society, I don't think it's required that you actually have snow on your property. So if you have like a beach holiday kind of thing going, that would probably work for them. Venus Rising's competition actually is a little bit more specific than that. We are looking for Winter-esque, Winterfest type of plots. And specifically, there needs to be a Protostar homage or tribute. You know, even if it's like one little corner that you put together, there needs to be some kind of reference to Protostar because, or I think they're wanting to tie in the competition with the theme of the actual Winterfest event. Winterfest event is all about Protostar and the commercialism of the holiday and everything. So they kind of want to tie the two together. So be sure and read the rules for both competitions if you're planning on entering both. The links to those are on my Twitch channel page, which reminds me, I plan on adding a new section in the resources group. It's not a section, but I'm going to add some listing of other streamers that stream housing stuff, like Dark Sparky and True Oliver sometimes does some stuff. I think mainly they do videos of like previews of items and things. Nilia is going to be starting up some housing stuff. She's already done a few bits, but I think after the new year, she's really going to start kicking in on that. Idestinia has a lot of stuff. Again, I don't know if they do a lot of live streaming of building and stuff, but they do a lot of like video tours. They do like one a week, I think. Um, so I'm going to start adding in a listing of fellow streamers that maybe they don't do like me and do exclusively housing, and they'll do some rating streams and things like that, but they do show some housing stuff, and I'm going to try and promote that by including a listing of those. So be watching for that. I'm going to work on that today, hopefully, um, and just kind of spread the word and support my fellow housing streamers with their efforts. I already kind of do that with the Twitch, not to Twitch, the Twitter. I tweet a lot of the stuff that other people are posting about their homes and stuff, but I think it would be helpful if I also include that on the Twitch stuff too. So there's that. Again, reminder, tomorrow is housing tour day. It is Exile's turn, so we've got some lovely little plots to be taking a look at. I'm probably going to do some more random house visiting today, see if I can spot a few more that I can add to the queue. Like I said, all this month I'm trying to hit mostly winter-esque plots. It doesn't have to be, decorated with holiday trees and things like that. As long as it's a winter-type plot, I'm definitely going to try and add that to my list. I already have a couple of Dominion ones lined up for next week, so we're pretty set on that already. But the more the merrier. If I can find more, I will definitely visit more. And then come January, we'll start doing the regular, just random themes and stuff. I have like a whole long list of houses in the queue for that, so we do not have a shortage at all in that regard. So yeah, thank you for all of the support. I've been getting a lot of positive comments, and of course, slowly but surely, I keep adding in new followers, which I appreciate that. Even if you don't come and visit all the time while I'm live, it's still a sign of me doing something right, that people are still watching and things. Sometimes it surprises me still that people actually look at these things, because I rattle on for a couple of hours, and I can't imagine that can be too entertaining for most. But I'm grateful that folks are still finding some of what I do helpful, like some of the ideas that we talk about and experiment with. Folks find ways to incorporate that into their own building styles and things like that. So that's a fun thing for me. So yeah, I think that's it. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and hope to see you tomorrow. Until then, have fun and happy housing. Bye-bye.